Here as a pharmacist, our role is very important because this leads to how the prescription will be dispensed. As I told, there is a concept of individualization. It means that every patient will have a dynamic prescription. So you have to fill the prescription in a dynamic pattern. And there are two patterns or two methods. One is the trituration method and second is the successive dilution method. Trituration methods is generally done in the solid drugs like powders generally, and the successive dilution, it is generally preferred in liquid drugs like tinctures. There the dilution is done simply by the dilution technique, while trituration using a mortar pestle is done for the powdered drugs. So this is how the drugs are dynamized, and the potency of the drugs is again very important based on the concept of individualization. The potency of the drug varies from different prescription to prescription, and there are three ways in which we can do the drug potentiation. The first is known as the decimal scale. It is known as the decimal potentiation. Here the drug is diluted to 1/10 its concentration. Means if it is written that it is actually denoted by the letter X. If it is denoted as X, and I can write it as 1X, it means that it is 1/10 the concentration of the original drug. If I make it 2X, it means 1/10 of the 1/10 solution, which becomes 1/100. If it is 3X, it becomes 1/1000 and so on. So it can be denoted as 1X, 2X, 3X and so on. The second scale is known as the centesimal scale, and here the dilution is further 1/100. It means it is denoted by C, and 1C is equal to 1/100 concentration of the original drug. If I say it is 2C, then it is 1/10,000 the concentration of the original drug. We can also say that 1C is equal to 2X. Am I right? So 1C can be equal to 2X, and we can write it as denoted 3C, 4C, etc. The third way of potentiation is known as the millisiemens scale, which is generally followed for the successive dilution. The decimal scale, centesimal scale are generally used in the trituration method, while millisiemens scale is used in the successive dilution method. And the concentration, first of all, the denotation is in the Roman numericals like 1, 2, 3, and here the dilution is around 1 to 50,000. So it is a very dilute solution. So first dilution will be 1/50,000. Second dilution will be 1/50,000 of the first dilution. So it is very dilute solution, which is why many of the researchers say that homeopathy is not a way of treatment, but it is a simple placebo treatment. I do not agree to it because there is sufficient you can say proof that they have effect because the drugs are reaching the receptor. However, certain researchers have the concept that due to this dilute solution, there may be a placebo effect in homeopathy. So this is about the drug dynamization and potentiation. Now we move to the next, the seventh law, that is vital force. Now, in any system of medicine, one thing which is common is the energy which is present in our body. Every system says that our body has a particular energy, and here in homeopathy it is named as the vital force. And it is said that the flow of the vital force should be even, should be non-interrupted. When there is any kind of interruption, the person is in a diseased state, and there the treatment has to be given using the different laws of homeopathy to maintain the vital force of the patient. After that, we come to the acute and chronic diseases. Now here I would like to say that normally what are acute diseases? Acute diseases are those diseases which are there for a short period of time. It can be any kind of viral fever or any kind of infection which stays for a short period of time, maybe maximum up to 15 days or 1 month. While a chronic disease, a disease which exists for a long period of time. For example, any kind of diabetes, cancer, hepatitis which remain in the body for a long period of time, they are termed to be chronic diseases. Even one of the most important chronic diseases is rheumatoid arthritis, which requires a lot of NSAIDs, which just gives the symptomatic relief. Now, if we ask any patient which treatment will they prefer in case of acute illness, anybody will go for the allopathic treatment because it gives fast relief. But when we talk of the chronic illnesses, at that time what is preferred is a traditional system or a homeopathic system where we are giving very less concentration of the drug and it is having a long-term effect. There are many cases where people have got cured of these long-term chronic illnesses just by taking homeopathic treatments. So here it says, this law says that the practitioner has to identify which are those acute diseases, which are those chronic diseases, and the treatment goes on. Second thing which is important in homeopathy is that the treatment is again and again the patient has to visit the practitioner, because the practitioner is again doing an experiment on individual patients. He is not confirmed that it will be treating. That is why a follow-up visit is very much important, so that the patient knows that the practitioner knows whether the patient is recovering or not, and whether there is a change in the prescription required or not. So that is about acute and chronic diseases. The patient should know chronic diseases, it will be long term. That is why on every follow-up visit he will keep on noting the changes, and if required he will change the prescription. In acute illnesses, the number of the follow-up visits will be reduced. And then the last is the direction of cure. This is a concept given by again a very eminent scientist of homeopathy. His name is Dr. Constantine Hering. He has done a lot of research work in homeopathy, and he has given one concept, that is direction of cure. It says direction of cure, here it means that any disease, when it leaves the body, when a particular disease leaves the body, it moves from inside to outside and from above to downward. Understood? It means that each step of this removal of the disease is from the inside of our body to outside, and from the upper part of our body to downwards. And the second concept in direction of cure is that the cure, I said it in the last point, that acute and chronic diseases, the patient does follow-up visits. A follow-up visits mean basically what happens, that the doctor will say that the order in which the symptoms appeared in the patient are leaving the body in the same order in the reverse direction. It means, if I give you the example of cold and cough, in the initial state we have an itching in the throat, gradually there is a change in the voice, then there is a running nose, then the coughing comes, and then at the later stage we have a dry cough. So this is in the way in which the cough and cold comes. Now if a homeopathic doctor is treating him, he will say that first the dry cough should go, then the cough should go, then the running nose should go, then the itching in the throat should go. So it goes back in the reverse order. I would also like to share a story which I heard from a homeopathic practitioner in Canada. He said that a lady had come for an acne treatment, and in the initial stage when she was taking the drugs and she came for the follow-up visits, the amount of the acne on her face has increased. So I put a question to him, then why did you continue with the prescription? Why did you change the prescription? He said that the concept of homeopathy says that if in the initial follow-up visits the patient is showing those symptoms in an enhanced or exaggerated manner, it means that the receptors have been activated and the treatment has started. So we never change the prescription. However, if these symptoms are not exaggerated but they are getting treated, it means that the suppression of symptoms is taking place but not the actual treatment. So this is a very big philosophical thing the homeopathic practitioners follow, and that is why many people do not have faith on homeopathy, saying that it is increasing the effect. But they have to understand that in the initial phase it will increase the symptoms and gradually it will move or leave the body either in the outward direction or in the downward direction. So these are the different laws of homeopathy we saw from 1 to 9. One is law of similia, law of simplex, law of minimum, drug proving, individualization, drug dynamization, potentiation, vital force, acute and chronic diseases, and direction of cure. Thank you very much for listening to this video.